In the grand scale of the universe, you are less significant than a rounding error. Every worry you've ever had, every deadline, every awkward text you sent and immediately regretted is a speck of dust on a speck of dust orbiting a slightly larger speck of dust. Congratulations. Anyway, today we're going even smaller than that, because somehow that's still not the most humbling thing on this planet. 7 miles down, in a place so hostile it makes space look welcoming, there's a fish. Not a shark. Not some R-word monster with headlamp eyes and 1,000 teeth. A fish that looks like it lost a fight with a Ziploc bag. And it is, without argument, the toughest vertebrate on Earth. Meet the Mariana snailfish. Scientific name Pseudolaparus swiri, which is a lot of syllables for something that looks like a ghost gave up halfway through becoming a tadpole. It lives in the Mariana Trench, the deepest place in every ocean on this planet, at depths pushing past 8,000 meters. For comparison, Everest is about 8,849 meters tall. This fish lives at a depth that's basically Everest, except upside down, except it's crushing you instead of giving you a nosebleed. Here's the part that should not be biologically possible. At that depth, the water pressure is somewhere around 800 times what you feel at sea level. Scientists have described it as roughly equivalent to the weight of 1,600 elephants pressing down on you. 1,600. Not one elephant, which would already ruin your day. 1,600 of them standing on you, simultaneously, forever. For an unprotected human at that depth, the pressure would crush your lungs down to roughly the size of ping pong balls and compress every air pocket in your body until you were, and I'm using the actual scientific vibe here, a tightly packed, human-shaped flesh chunk. So naturally, evolution looked at that environment and said, perfect. Let's put a defenseless little noodlefish here and make it the apex predator. Because that's the twist. This fragile-looking, translucent little guy isn't hiding from the crushing dark. It's thriving in it. It's the top predator of its ecosystem down there, hunting tiny amphipods, those little shrimp-like scavengers that also somehow live at these depths. Which honestly raises more questions than it answers, but we'll get to that. So how does something this delicate-looking survive pressure that would turn a human into paste? First trick, it barely has bones. Its skeleton is mostly cartilage, like a shark, not solid bone like ours, which makes it more flexible and less prone to structural failure under pressure. It also has no swim bladder, that gas-filled organ most fish use to control buoyancy, because a gas-filled anything at that depth is basically a bomb waiting to implode. But the real secret weapon is a chemical with a name that sounds like a discontinued energy drink. TMAO, or trimethylamine N-oxide. It's a compound that builds up inside the fish's cells the deeper it lives, and it works like a molecular scaffold, stopping proteins from getting crushed and deformed by the pressure. Basically, its body is chemically bracing itself from the inside out, every single second, just to exist. And here's the wild part. Scientists think this chemical trick has a hard ceiling. TMAO becomes fully saturated in fish cells at around 8,200 to 8,400 meters. Past that point, it simply can't concentrate any further to counteract the pressure. Which means, this isn't just where snailfish happen to live. This is very likely the actual physical limit of how deep any fish, any vertebrate with a spine, can survive anywhere on this entire planet. This unassuming little noodle isn't just surviving down there. It's living at the edge of what biology itself allows. This isn't even new curiosity, by the way. Back in the 1870s, the HMS Challenger expedition was the first to sound the depths of the Mariana Trench, using nothing but rope and weighted lines dropped over the side of a wooden ship. The species we're talking about today is actually named after Herbert Swire, an officer on that very voyage. So in a way, people have been obsessed with what's hiding at the bottom of that trench for over 150 years. And it took us until 2017 for scientists to properly describe this exact species. And here's a fact that never stops being funny to me. More people have walked on the moon than have been to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. 12 astronauts versus a small handful of submersible pilots. We have genuinely put more effort into leaving footprints 384,000 kilometers away, than we have into visiting the deepest point of our own planet, which this fish treats like a Tuesday commute. The first humans to actually reach the bottom, Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh, did it in 1960 in a submersible called the Trieste, and they spent about 20 minutes down there before the pressure cracked one of the outer windows, and they had to leave immediately. 20 minutes. Our little translucent noodle fish has been casually living its entire life down there this whole time, unbothered, while humanity's best engineering effort lasted less time than a sitcom episode. Now, about those amphipods our fish is hunting. These are tiny, shrimp-like scavengers, and the ones living at hadal depths are doing something almost as strange as the snailfish itself. Some of them have been found with plastic microfibers already inside their bodies, meaning human pollution has technically reached the deepest, most remote point on Earth before most humans have. So somewhere down there, the apex predator of the abyss is potentially eating prey that already has trace amounts of our garbage in it, which is either deeply depressing or extremely on brand for us. I haven't decided. Here's another thing that should not work, but does. Because the snailfish's body is essentially the same pressure, inside and out. It doesn't need to actively fight against being crushed the way a rigid air-filled structure would. Bring this fish up to the surface too quickly though, and it falls apart. Its own tissues essentially disintegrating without that outside pressure holding everything together. It's not built to survive our world. It's built so perfectly for its own that ours would kill it just as fast as its world would kill us. Quick question while we're down here in the crushing dark. If you had to survive at the bottom of the Mariana Trench for one full day, would you rather go in with zero equipment and just your body, snailfish style, or in a submersible that might implode at any second? Genuinely curious which nightmare you'd pick. Drop it below. Back to our extremely committed little fish. It's not just surviving the pressure. It's doing it in complete darkness, in water that hovers barely above freezing, with basically no light ever reaching it in its entire life. No sunset, no stars, just cold, crushing black, forever. Goes about its day, eating shrimp, being the biggest, baddest thing in its immediate neighborhood, blissfully unaware that everything about its existence should not work. And in case surviving 1,600 elephants worth of pressure wasn't enough of a challenge, the water down there sits at a temperature just above freezing, year-round, permanently. No seasons, no warm currents, just a constant bone-deep cold that never lets up, on top of pressure that would liquefy most life as we know it. It's less extreme environment and more the ocean actively trying to think of ways to make existing more difficult. And this fish just shrugs and keeps swimming. What really sells this for me is the comparison to its neighbors. A lot of deep-sea fish lean hard into looking horrifying, all needle teeth and bioluminescent lures, like evolution was actively trying to win a monster design contest. The snailfish didn't bother. It looked at the deadliest, most hostile environment on the planet and decided the winning move wasn't intimidation. It was just quietly being tougher than everything else in the room while looking like it's made of jello. And to be clear, we're not talking about some sea monster here. This thing tops out at about 28 centimeters, just over 11 inches, and weighs around 160 grams, which is lighter than a can of soda. This entire biological miracle, this pressure-defying, chemically reinforced marvel of evolution, is smaller than your forearm and probably weaker looking than something you'd throw back if you caught it fishing. There was even a bit of a scientific rivalry over this fish. In 2017, Chinese researchers logged a snailfish sighting at over 8,100 meters. Weeks later, a joint Japanese team logged one even deeper. Two of the most advanced deep-sea research programs on the planet, spending millions of dollars and years of preparation, were essentially competing to see who could find the saddest, squishiest fish first. And somewhere down there, the fish itself had absolutely no idea it had become the subject of an international science flex. And it's not even just one trench doing this. Snailfish have been found living at extreme hadal depths in the Japan Trench, the Izu Ogasawara Trench, and the Kermadec Trench off New Zealand, each with their own slightly different species, all separately evolving the exact same ignore the crushing pressure and thrive anyway strategy. Different oceans, different trenches, thousands of kilometers apart, and evolution just kept arriving at the same answer. Make a small, gelatinous, nightmare-proof fish and let it inherit the deep. Which is, honestly, the whole point. We spend so much time imagining the scariest thing at the bottom of the ocean as some massive armored predator with glowing lures and a mouthful of needles. But the actual answer, the thing that's genuinely won at existing in the most hostile place a spine can survive, looks like a sad, see-through tadpole that gave up on being intimidating and decided to just be unkillable instead. So yeah, you're insignificant compared to the universe. But somewhere right now, 7 miles down, in total darkness, under the weight of 1,600 elephants, a translucent little noodle with no swim bladder and a chemistry set for a nervous system is just having a completely normal Tuesday. Somewhere out there, this fish is currently outperforming most of us at handling pressure. And it doesn't even have hands to give itself a pep talk. It just exists, unbothered, at the exact edge of what biology allows. Because apparently that's just Tuesday for a snailfish. If your brain, like mine, is now permanently unable to feel bad about a rough day again, because a fish is out there getting crushed by elephants for fun, subscribe to Gallows Geek. We dig up one of these every week. Same time, same darkness, same crushing existential dread, but funnier. See you next time.